Hi, it's Nick Astor with TriplePundit.com. I'm here at Sustainable Brands 2012 with Eduardo Bayareso, and he is the CEO and founder of a company called Lonesome George, who are an apparel brand with some pretty interesting sustainability initiatives. So Eduardo, Lonesome George was a tortoise,
That's
the
right.
Galapagos tortoise.
Right. It's
Tell us about him and what that has to do with your company.
It's the tortoise, Lonesome George and Co. And he is our inspiration. It's the inspiration behind the brand because he's the last one of his kind. And the message to us when we saw him was, "Don't let this happen again." And
He's still alive.
he's still alive. He lives at the Charles Darwin Station, and he's the last one of his kind. Yeah. So the message of don't let this happen again led us to start the Academy of Agents of Change, which, what we do is outfit agents of change. And we use Outward Bound and we use Ashoka to outfit agents of change. That's what we do right now. We fund all this via the branded apparel, which is Lonesome George and Co.
That's fantastic. So when you say you outfit the agents, what does that mean?
Well, you see, what we have is Outward Bound's methodology is a very powerful methodology, and what it does is takes the individual out of its comfort zone to create mind shift. And we do all this under a mind shift impact business model. Mind being the financial side of it, shift being Outward Bound, and the mind shift, doing the transition from repetition to innovation, linear thinking to circular thinking. So we outfit that agent of change, we inspire him, and then once we've inspired him, we have to put him into Ashoka to get him equipped with social entrepreneurial tools for him to impact his community. So we've closed the circle, or the triangle, as I call it, mind, shift, impact.
This is great. Now, how does the apparel come into play?
The apparel is in the mind part of it, is the top of the triangle, and that is where the resources come from. All this comes from a lot of frustration to try to gather or finance this via philanthropy and charity. And at one point, my background is for-profit, and using capitalism to find a recurrent income model, we came up with Lonesome George. And Lonesome George, we branded him as our inspiration, and that became the source of income to fund the Academy of Agents of Change. That is where the brand that is a for-profit arm of it.
So when I go out and buy an item from Lonesome George, a certain amount of that money could be considered an investment, which is going to go into this system.
Absolutely. 10% of our revenues, our top line, goes into the Academy of Agents of Change. And you become an agent of change as such when you buy a product. When you sport a Lonesome George, or we use a Lonesome George, you are sending the message that you are an agent of change, that you are awake, that you know that your consequences matter. So what you have helped to do is fund our human capital fund, which is this youth becoming agents of change. What we're looking for right now is to really explain this and scale this so that people can use the mind shift impact model, because we see that as a very powerful social impact model in a box with two very powerful partners, Outward Bound, a strong methodology, and Ashoka, social entrepreneur. Social entrepreneurs, they lock within them, they have it in them, the innovation that businesses require in order to create that new version of capitalism. And I think this mind shift impact has come with a very powerful way of putting it together. So that's what we do. That's what we're trying to speak to people to see how can we scale this model.
It's really cool. So can you give us an example yet? Are you ready to share some stories about successes that have occurred yet?
Well, the successes come internally of first of really putting out a brand platform that speaks for itself, putting a product that is fully based on a creating shared value business model or equation. We've thought throughout the product. We've really aligned the value chain with the mission of the company, and then we have clusters of development in the communities that we have via Outward Bound and Ashoka. And then as we spread the message, we've had conversations with green homes, for example, that say we want to be a mind shift impact company. We want part of our portfolio to have a product that advances that. And we want to create Academy of Agents of Change here in London. And then we also opened in Berlin. Berlin is considered, you know, the green or conservation city in Europe, the same way San Francisco. So we have an office in San Francisco, and then we have an office in Berlin as well, and a showroom. Berlin is also looking into tapping into Outward Bound Germany, tapping into Ashoka Youth Venture Germany, and set up an Academy of Agents of Change there. Same way in the Bay Area. So as you see, something that started in the Galapagos, which for us is the cradle of evolution where things take place, now it's starting to go elsewhere. And what we ask people is, this is our company, this is our Lonesome George, but what is your Lonesome George? That's what I want to know, and that's how I want people to get inspired. What is that situation that you need to act today to change and do it? And here's the model, Mind Shift Impact.
Well, it's a wonderful brand story, and Eduardo, thanks very much for sitting down and telling us a little bit about it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.